Naiji Lira was asking about various spirit form possessions and made the observation that it seems to be a kind of mortal struggle where the Naiji either sinks under the weight of what's happened or succeeds in totally transforming and purifying themselves by a heroic effort of Nai.
Yes, that is true. It's a good observation. When it comes to intense spirit form interactions of any kind, Mazu, Daryu, other, Fumasta, so forth, once you've had those interactions, it builds up a spiritual energy within you that is associated with that interaction, and you have to do something with it. And the only way you can do that successfully, reliably, is to go up the elevator of enlightenment. So for example, in any of the rituals you're in, for example, let's say you are in Daryu and you are perhaps confused. Confusion can be removed sometimes by the appropriate application of fear or rage. Fear rage can actually, I'm not confused anymore, I know what's going on. I'm angry or I'm scared. That's what's going on here. So those rituals, even within, say, Daryu, which is not the highest up and you're only going up one ritual, but still all the rituals as they go up have power over the rituals below them. Then there's the whole section itself. So the Daryu is above the Mazut, other above the Daryu, Fumasta above that, Shani baby above everything, includes everything. So when you're trying to figure out how to deal with the Mazut, for example, you may not know what's going on. You're going along, as mentioned before, and you maybe misread about not just your mojo, but like your story. You don't know what your story you're enacting. And when you get confused, when there are paradoxes, that's the Daryu kind of tickling on you that you're not doing what you think you're doing. Something's not right. Fear, you could be getting these strange feelings of trepidation. You're not quite sure why. Because in your Mazut associations, there's no legitimate reason to be scared or angry. But perhaps there is a peak pathway reason. You and your Mazut, the apparatus Mazut, may not be aware enough to know that. The Daryu does, and so if you start doing things that put you in an emergency of being overly confused, overly scared, overly angry, it will exert itself energetically. So the Daryu in that case can be a teacher. It can be a teacher against the stupidity that happens from Mazut possession. But then the Daryu possession, the other, helps you get past that. For example, one thing that happens a lot to people is they try to deal with Daryu as if the Daryu is like some sort of finite quality in, Earth or their village or whatever, and they're going to deal with it. But it doesn't really work that way. You can only deal with anything by going forward. Like the best revenge is living well. The only thing you can really do is go forward and have goodness from that point on. So when you're in the Daryu, well, the main thing you have to do is realize that you need to get out, and your other gives you that light, gives you that thing to stretch for. And that will show you the direct route out. Like there's a kind of a principle in writing, and it actually works well for being a secret agent and just about everything else, is when you're going to do anything, I guess like a hunter, it's like a very hunter way of going through life, but it's very effective, which is, what is the entrance point? What gets me in? And then, what is the exit? And when you figure out, how do I get in, what do I need to get, and how do I get out? That gives you a quick 1, 2, 3. Because you don't really, particularly say Daryu, want to be just spending a lot of time around there. You want to know, where am I supposed to get out? The one that helps the most with this, though, is going to be the Fumasta. And the reason is because of the spirit forms that you interact with, it has a special relationship, which is, from the shiny baby and beyond, you go into a mergings, which is also wonderful, very healing, and gives a great wisdom as well. But as far as trying to apply it in a way that will make sense down the whole pipeline out into the real world that you occupy, the Fumasta is often the highest one that you dialogue with, that you kind of have that sort of mentor relationship with. And it outranks everything else, and that's important. The Fumasta knows the full storyline. So if you are doing the Mazut off, the Fu Master will feel, if you have created the connection to your Fu Master, which starts with knowing yourself. As you know yourself and you develop an affection for your affinities, your gifts, you're like, wow, those are really, really great. When you feel that, that will help you connect with your Fu Master when you actually know yourself and know that you are awesome. You can forget that you're awesome often with Mazuts. Mazuts can make you feel like you're just some person out here in the world. And that will make the connection to the Fu Master go off. And you should be alert to that and look for that Fu Master connection to take you above that and when you have stepped wrong. Daryu, same thing. There can often be the false sense of Fu Master for some people who kind of like just do hard stuff all the time, and they think that kind of hanging out and doing Daryu and just out Daryuing everyone else is the point, and that makes you a master, and doesn't. That's really just a very difficult form of villain to deal with, but it's not Fu Master. Because the only thing it really does teach you is how not to be. Fu Masters teach you how to be. Your Fu Master will demand of you your full storyline to your fullest potential. So if you get trapped in Mazut, your Fu Master will be like, no, that's far too small of a life, too shallow of a life. Daryu, that's more intense and you are getting to more like heavy stuff, but that's not what life is about either. The Fu Master will look down on anyone who gets wrapped up in Daryu and stuck there and becomes, you know, the king or queen of shite. That in no way is Fu Master, and a real Fu Master will be disgusted by that and will show the error of their ways. The other relationship can also be an issue if it goes catastrophic based on things that you've done or things that your other in human form have done. Either way, your Fu Master can actually show you where the story goes next, because it can be confusing at any level that you're currently at. Now, even the Fu Master itself should always be taking you to merging with the shiny baby so that you can actually see your truest self pure, the natural law that made you, and then go back into the world with that wisdom, with that purification of your soul. The most dangerous villains of all are like the false Fu Master, the one who can actually pretend to be Fu Master, but a true Fu Master will be trying to take you to shiny baby and will want you to always go up and will want you to return with the gifts that you get from going higher to the world. So if it's a real Fu Master, that's what it should be doing. So if you ever have a Daryu who's kind of playing fucking mind games with you in your mind or in real life, challenge them in that way. And they should be able to show you how to go up, and they should want you to give those gifts to the world. If they don't, then that's kind of an issue. You talked about transformation and purification. Those are very much part of the Fu Master level. As you realize who you are, including yourself and your other as one unified storyline, and what that means as far as it being beautifully whole, but also part of all these other wholes that make up the rest of the tribe. That it means you must purify yourself of things that are untrue and therefore impure as you go higher up, because you go higher up, higher spirits will tell you what you have to do. It won't be easy, but it'll be true, it'll be heroic. And when you do that, your story will align. And the higher you are able to go up, the spirit forms beneath in the elevator, the storylines, the rituals beneath that in the flow, they naturally align. That's one thing, as you go up. Also, as you return back down, it is easier to deal with the spirit forms. So, speaking to your other after coming from the Fu Master or having the Fu Master with you, it makes it easier to get an understanding because your perspective will be better. When you're actually under the other or wrapped with the other, you don't have the same, perspective as when you actually are seeing the full vision in Fu Master form. Then you can actually do the right things. Now, you can't skip doing rituals. So you do, for example, when you're in the ritual, confusion, fear, rage, and passion, longing, all the way up to greatness and so forth. There are things that you need to do in order to pass that, and you can't try and skip that. Some people try to do it. You can't do that. But what you can do is think, what does my Fu Master want me to do? How would the ideal me do this? So you're in a situation, a Mazut situation, a Daryu situation, you ask yourself, what does the me that impresses my other and becomes whole with all our powers, neither possessed nor separate, a union without actually there being any possession, union without possession. When that is accomplished, it will actually make any interactions with people in the world or lower spirit forms the way they're supposed to be, automatically. Your spirits want you to do this. Your peak pathway wants you to do this. Evolution wants you to do this. Natural law wants you to do this. So when you ask your psyche, what would the me, in this case Naiji, what would the Naiji me hero do that would handle this situation, impress my other, bring me union of all my powers, and allow me to merge with my shiny baby? It won't matter what adventure you're on. If you're in a Mazu ritual, a Daryu, an other, even a Fumasta ritual, if you think in that way, your spirits will tell you the right way to go, because that's your whole point in being. So when you ask, how do I go up this ritual the high way? You know what I mean? Kind of like, okay, this is a first level thing, but what would Gandalf do? That's what you think about. You know what I mean? You're like, what would Merlin do? What would Gandalf do? Whatever, something like that would be an epitome to you in some way. What would that person do? In this case, it's you. What would Fumasta Lyra do? That's what you ask yourself. And so you need to know that creature is within you. Your spirits want you very much to be the creature. And the tribe humanity has evolved for you to be that. The tribe needs you to be that. It needs the Naiji to do that. All the other mojos too, but in this case right now, talking your mojo, you're supposed to. And so when you do that, your whole reason for being will wake up and go, yes, go this way. It won't necessarily be easy, but they will tell you the way you go, the way Fumasta you goes.